Despite having a mediocre reputation, For Honor is a good game that's well on its way to becoming something great. And as its third season kicks off, I'm more excited than ever for what the future for this budding franchise could be. The introduction of 2 new playable characters have expanded the game's roster to 16 and have once again managed to shake up the meta, in addition to adding new depth and challenges to an already dense and innovative combat system. Today we're going to look at the Highlander and what makes him such an interesting addition to For Honor. The first thing you'll notice about the Highlander is that he has 2 stances, and this is the most interesting thing about the character. Unlike every other character that has a persistent guard or a reflex guard or access to a full block stance, in defense stance he has a normal persistent guard, but his heavy attacks are uninterruptible and his light attacks have superior block properties. In offensive stance he has no guard, which means he's unable to block, but his heavy attacks are unblockable and his light attacks are extremely fast. He also gains access to different soft feints, kicks, and grabs. In this 1v1 duel versus a Valkyrie, you can see that all of the Highlander's attacks are very well telegraphed, but there's a lot of variance in speed which can throw people off. When you're fighting someone with a giant sword, you don't expect them to have any fluidity in the way they fight, but that is absolutely untrue of the Highlander. After landing a successful attack, you can switch to your offensive mode almost instantly and follow up with a flurry of quick light attacks. And even though For Honor isn't the fastest fighting game out there, they're still difficult to block. Something that I've been enjoying about the Highlander is that he doesn't have the traditional punishes that other characters have. If you've been playing the game since launch, you've most likely come to expect a free guard break after parrying someone's attack, but that doesn't appear to be the case with the Highlander in most situations. Instead, you have to rely on a small bit of guaranteed damage from a light attack or your mix-ups. In this duel, I tried to overwhelm my opponent with a flurry of unblockable attacks, but he just dashed out of the way. So the next time I had an opportunity to enter offensive stance, I used light attacks instead, and the speed caught him off guard. To close things out, we're going to watch some of the more exciting rounds that I've had while playing as the Highlander. He's been a difficult character to wrap my head around because of his offensive and defensive stances, but the more you get the hang of him, the more enjoyable he becomes. So my opponent is also playing the Highlander, and he's making expert use of the superior block property on his light attacks, and he's also feinting, or soft feinting rather, his forward dashing attack. It is a very powerful move, and that mix-up catches a lot of people regardless of how good they are at the game. And with that said, I'm making myself look pretty terrible. I am out of stamina and on my last sliver of health, but a successful parry followed by an unblockable heavy attack is going to put me back in the game. At this point, we're in what I like to call the danger zone. Anything could happen. Landed a successful guard break, throwing an out of stamina heavy, but it's not going to be enough to finish off the enemy Highlander. This is a battle to decide who the true Highlander is, and a successful parry followed by an unblockable heavy is going to put him on his back and in the grave. Now that heavy attack was not guaranteed, but there's a lot of intimidation that goes into playing the Highlander. When you see that big ass sword coming at your face, similar to the Kensei when he's doing his top heavy unblockable, sometimes you freeze up. Alright, this time we are going up against a Gladiator. He is the second character that was added at the start of Season 3, and he's a much more traditional character in For Honor. He doesn't have any fancy stances or unorthodox strategies, but he does have a lot of cool moves in his kit. You'll see right there he tried to poke me in the toes, and as far as I'm aware, he's the only character in For Honor's roster that can specifically attack the feet. So that's something interesting for the Gladiator. But right here we switched to offensive stance and got a nice poke with a light attack, going right back into defense mode. And throwing out 2 heavy attacks with that uninterruptible super armor is going to give us the victory. The Highlander might not have the same amount of health as the Lawbringer, so trades are a little bit dangerous, but he does a decent amount of damage, so if you do have a health lead, you can feel confident in trading blows because you know you'll come out on top. We're going to finish things up with another round of Highlander versus Highlander. It's a very interesting matchup because both characters have access to the same mix-ups, but a lot of mix-ups, so whoever uses them better will come out on top. So far though, we're seeing the enemy Highlander is making better use of the extremely long reach of his weapon, landing a successful parry on his soft feint, but unfortunately throwing out a guard break after a parry is a mistake on the Highlander, because that is not a guarantee the same way it is for many of the other characters in the game's roster. Throwing out that soft feint once again, but it's going to get parried for a second time. Unfortunately, I did not transition into my offensive stance quick enough, so I wasn't able to get any sort of punishes out. Going into offensive stance again, but going right back into defense, but that may have been a mistake because the soft feint was used to dodge my heavy attack and put me in the ground for the finish. So a lot of things went on in that match. There was a lot of trading of blows, a lot of soft feinting, a lot of mixing up of the gameplay and using the range of the Highlander to the advantage. That was all going on the enemy side. I was getting my ass kicked, but at the end of the day, it's a new character and the learning experience is incredibly fun, especially because this character is so much more dense than a lot of the others. On that note, if you'd like to see more footage with the Highlander, more duels in their entirety, feel free to let me know in the comments section. I'm also going to play a little bit of the Gladiator. I'm going to get him to at least Prestige 1 so I can get a feel for what that hero is supposed to do. Is it a hero or just a character? I don't know. But either way, the name of the game is For Honor. The name of the channel is iBluairJgR Gaming for Comedy. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.